It's been over 3 years since the release of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and even more time has passed in the story between it and its sequel Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Here's everything you need to know for the next major release from Respawn Entertainment, including the lore to catch you up on what is what and who is whom. Before we get started on setting up the story of Jedi Survivor, just know that this video will contain spoilers for the events of the previous game, Jedi Fallen Order, as well as some of the highlights of the High Republic era, of which this latest installment will heavily tie into. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, like its predecessor, is focused on Cal Kestis, a Padawan during the Clone Wars that managed to escape from the clutches of the newly minted Empire and Order 66, which saw clone troopers previously under the command of the Jedi turn on the Force users. 5 years later, Cal successfully remains hidden as a scrapper on the planet Bracca until an accident that almost claims his friend's life forces the young Jedi to save him with his powers, revealing his identity to witnesses. Now hunted by Inquisitors, Cal is rescued by former Jedi Knight Cere Junda and Grease Dritus, pilot of their ship, the Stinger Mantis. Cere takes Cal to the planet Bogano, where her former master Eno Cordova hid a Jedi holocron in a vault containing a list of Force-sensitive children that Cere believes could help rebuild the Jedi Order. To access the vault, the crew must follow the path of Cordova, accompanied by BD-1, an adorable droid and former companion of the deceased Jedi Master. Cal's quest takes him to several planets, including the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk and Dathomir, the birthplace of iconic Sith Lord Darth Maul, as well as a Night Sister known as Merrin, whom joins the crew of the Stinger Mantis after Cal helps her take down Malicos, a former Jedi Master who succumbed to the dark side. Cal also learns that the Inquisitor leading the hunt for him is Trilla, Cere's former Padawan that she gave up when interrogated by the Empire. Trilla naturally holds some resentment over her former mentor's betrayal. Once Cal completes his mission and obtains the Jedi holocron, he has a vision of what could come to pass if he were to rebuild the Jedi Order, namely its destruction at the hands of the Empire and his turn to the dark side. Before he can figure out what to do, Trilla shows up and steals the holocron. Cal breaks into the Inquisitor's headquarters, the aptly named Fortress Inquisitorius, where he confronts Trilla, retrieves the holocron, and with the help of Cere, is able to bring her former Padawan back to the side of the light for a brief moment before Darth Vader shows up and takes her out for failing him. No match for the Sith Lord, Cal and Cere make their escape, and when they return to Bogano, Cal makes the executive decision to destroy the holocron and the information within it, lest his bleak vision come to pass. Jedi Survivor takes place another 5 years after Fallen Order, putting it right around the events of the Disney Plus show Obi-Wan Kenobi in the timeline, and 9 years before Episode 4 A New Hope. Since the end of the first title, the crew has been perpetrating acts of rebellion against the Empire, some of which are detailed in the tie-in novel Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars that takes place in between the two games. It's in this novel that we learn of how Cal gets his literal facial scars that we see in Jedi Survivor, as well as why Grease's upper right arm is now robotic. However, the crew has since gone their separate ways, as Cal continues to fight the good fight, but Cere, Grease, and Merrin have seemingly lost the spark. Details on exactly what might have happened to break the crew up, as well as what happens in the game to bring them back together, are sparse before the game's release. We do know, however, of two of the game's antagonists. What many fans initially believed from the first trailer to be the Grand Inquisitor is actually an Imperial Senator, albeit one of the same Pauan race. Another enemy seen in several trailers for the game is Ravis, the powerful Gendai race, nearly immortal beings made entirely of tendrils, their humanoid structure given form by their armor. The Gendai made their first appearance in Genndy Tartakovsky's excellent limited-run Clone Wars series, his name serving as the inspiration for theirs. The final major antagonist we've seen in trailers has clothing tying him to the High Republic era, seemingly a Jedi disappointed in how the Order allowed for the rise of the Empire. We've since learned from our own preview of the game that this time period will heavily tie into Survivor's story. Considering that the High Republic is very new to the canon and has yet to be detailed outside of several books and comics, here is some top-level information of that era. While the High Republic has only been a thing for a few years, and so far only been explored in literary formats, it has also been surveyed in great detail. The High Republic starts hundreds of years prior to Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, and ends several decades before. It is named as such because it is seen as the Golden Age for not only the Republic, but also the Jedi. The light side Force wielders were flourishing, while the Sith were basically non-existent. Not everything was pod racing and sabacc at this time, however, as a marauder group called the Nihil, under the leadership of Martian Ro, sought to grow its influence in the galaxy. The conflict between the Jedi and the Nihil served for much of the storytelling we've had so far during this time period. What made the Nihil such a threat was their ability to navigate the paths, routes through hyperspace that only the Nihil had learned how to navigate. Considering Cal's line from Jedi Survivor story trailer of, "I think we finally found somewhere the Empire can't reach us," the paths could be incredibly relevant to the game. While the High Republic has only been explored in books and comics so far, it is about to move into other mediums, such as animation, with Young Jedi Adventures releasing May 4th, 2023, as well as live action in the Acolyte series, also dropping on Disney Plus in 2024. Gameplay in Star Wars Jedi Survivor will build off of and expand upon what was possible in Jedi Fallen Order. Thankfully, game director Stig Asmussen has confirmed that the title won't reset Cal's powers, and many of the abilities and techniques he had cultivated by the end of the previous game will be present at the start of Jedi Survivor. Cal will also at points be able to perform combo attacks with companions, the trailers showing the Jedi partnering up with Merrin, as well as Bode Akuna, a new character being introduced in the game that has major Han Solo vibes, and that Cal forms a special bond with, according to Asmussen. Since Cal isn't losing any of his abilities from the end of the previous title, he will start with the option to form both a standard and double-sided lightsaber. While in Jedi Fallen Order, Cal could split the double-sided variant into two separate sabers as a limited time attack, in Jedi Survivor, dual-wielding lightsabers has become its own form. The single-sided lightsaber is an overall balanced option, the double-sided lightsaber is meant for crowd control, and dual-wielding has a focus on speed. Over time, Cal will be able to expand his arsenal to allow for two additional forms, Crossguard and Blaster. The Crossguard lightsaber sacrifices speed in favor of heavier attacks. The Blaster stance will allow Cal to wield both a blaster and a lightsaber. In terms of gameplay, the blaster expands Cal's options for ranged attacks beyond just chucking his blade or using his force abilities. Speaking of force abilities, Cal's got some new ones. These include the ability to freeze blaster bolts, as well as perform a mid-air force dash to make certain jumps. Cal will also be able to connect with various creatures through the force, allowing him to use them as mounts to traverse the game's more expansive locales. In Jedi Survivor, Cal will be exploring familiar locations as well as totally brand new ones. One of the most important ones, which served as the planet for a hands-on preview, is Kobo. In Jedi Fallen Order, the Stinger Mantis served as Cal's home base. In Jedi Survivor, his home base is now a full settlement called Rambler's Reach on Kobo, centering around a cantina run by Grease. Characters that Cal meets on his adventures can set up shop in Rambler's Reach, offering him side quests, new dialogue options, and purchases such as cosmetic items, which have greatly expanded in Jedi Survivor to include swapping out parts for BD1, hair and beard styles for Cal, and more diverse clothing options. That's right, Cal can wear more than just a poncho this time around. While the majority of places Cal will be visiting during Jedi Survivor are still a mystery ahead of its launch, one of the planets he will go to is one that Star Wars fans are already very familiar with and might be the game's most exciting: Coruscant. Star Wars Jedi Survivor will be released on April 28th, 2023. With the standard edition priced at $70, the game will be coming to the latest generation of hardware only, which means the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Pre-ordering the game will net you some in-game cosmetics inspired by the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, such as the former Jedi Master's outfit and lightsaber hilt, and the combustion blaster he utilized before returning to his elegant weapon for a more civilized age. A digital deluxe edition priced at $90 will also come with an assortment of in-game cosmetics. The new Hero Cosmetic Pack includes an outfit reminiscent of Luke's garments from when he receives a medal at the very end of Episode 4 A New Hope, an R2-D2 inspired colorway for BD-1, and his lightsaber hilt. The Galactic Hero Cosmetic Pack is Han Solo themed, with his outfit from A New Hope, a rugged BD-1 colorway, and his DL-44 blaster. And because you're wondering, yes, there was a physical collector's edition of the game featuring a steelbook case and Cal Kestis's lightsaber hilt that was made via limited run games, but this option was limited to only 5,000 orders and has unfortunately already sold out. That's everything to know about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the second game in the Jedi series that, as Musin states, he intended to ultimately be a trilogy. Will this game be the franchise's Empire Strikes Back? We'll find out when it releases on April 28th.